this was one of the longest trading days, it seemed like, even though it was only about an hour of trading, because the market didn't really want to move very much. And it was kind of a surprise to me because it had a big movement before the opening bell this morning. There is a couple of Fed reports coming out. They're minor reports, so I don't think they'll probably move the market too much, but they're coming out around 10. So that also could move the market. But anyway, so we're looking at the MACD on the 4-hour chart, and we are kind of at the top, and it looks like it's turning over. I drew in a channel here, the purple line, which is a very, very long-term channel, and then I also drew in a shorter-term channel, which you can kind of see is the yellow line. It actually is this line here, but as you can see, it's straight across because the starting point for that channel is before the information that I have on this screen. So it's not accurate there. But anyway, on the shorter term, shallower channel here, you can also see that we are near the top. If we're looking at the longer term, though, it is possible that we've got a ways to go up yet. So yeah, it just depends on what's going on. It's a little bit uncertain right now. The 30-minute chart, as you can see, it's just been flat for the last couple days. And that also tells me that there's not enough bullish momentum to make it go up, but there's also not enough bearish momentum to make it go down. They're pretty well evenly split, 50-50. And as you can see, it's right at that 100% line on the Fibonacci chart, which I think is fascinating. If it did drop, it would probably go down to this 853 level, which is the next line on the Fibonacci chart. If it went up, I mean, I wouldn't be horribly surprised. We'd probably be looking at the top of this channel, which is off the screen here, but it's like way high. And it would probably be closer to the 5,000 mark that we are so close to. And the market loves round numbers. So, but that's still, 150 points up there. It would take a long time to get there. So anyway, for trading today, I decided that even though I kind of inclined to think, I'm more going to think that it's going to drop, but I usually am, then it is good to go up. I went ahead and did a long, even though I believe that to be possibly true. I'm just seeing more evidence that it's probably going to bounce off of this point and go up. So I did a long, and that was a nice big bounce there. Kind of slowed down at this mark here, even though the MACD is just gaining momentum. So I decided to go ahead and get out of that trade. So the first trade I made 137, got 26 seconds to the opening bell. I thought that was pretty good first trade. It is possible that I'll go up quite a bit, but I decided to play it safe. And 137 is a really good amount for a trade. So, okay, and it bounced down. It hit higher low than before, and then it went up. And at this point, it kind of peaked out and looked like it might be dropping. So I went ahead and did a short, and it dropped a good long ways, but it did not catch my order, unfortunately. So I didn't catch that. And I canceled that. It dropped so quickly that I didn't get in until here, which is really sad because I do think it's probably going to bounce at this point. This is not a good trade. But it worked out okay. It did drop a little bit further, and at this point I probably should have gotten out. Might be a little bit tired this morning because I'm not sure that I would agree with the same information and analyzation that I did at the time. All right, so I thought that it was probably going to drop down to this point, that limit order. And like I said, oftentimes my ideas about what's going to happen because of how I think of the economy or what's going on affects how I see the information, and that's not helpful. So anyway, this is not a bad place to go. I still agree with that. I mean, you've got a support level here, and it's also where the SMA is here. So I wouldn't be at all surprised, if it did get down to that point. However, I'm not sure we're quite to the point of dropping there because the MACD is kind of bottomed out here. All right, so I went ahead and got out of that trade. I did play it cautious, and I made a little bit on that one. I don't have the amount left, but now I'm up at 212.50 and have made 2 trades. So both of my first trades are positive. That's also a very encouraging sign. All right, at this point, it had a big drop, and I thought it was probably going to drop down to that level down here that I expected it to go to. So I kind of reacted to the market before I thought too clearly on the subject, and did a short here, kind of near the bottom. And here I go again. I'm putting this limit order in at about 879, which is where that SMA is. I wanted to get that last bit of movement there, and it did drop a little bit there, but then it bounced right back up again, and now I'm in the negative. And then it bounced off of that point, started to drop. I thought, okay, it's probably going to catch it again. MACD's looking like it might. Drops down, but I'm still not back in the green yet. And it kind of bounced off of that Fibonacci line again. It doesn't want to seem to drop below that. Kind of stuck right there, which is also where both of the SMAs are, by the way. Okay, still hanging on to hope here. Dropped a little bit, and then it bounced right back up again. This is if you look at the time frame on this, that's like about 10 minutes between that frame and this frame. So there's like no movement. I'm sitting here, and it's getting very tedious. This is why I said it was one of the longer trading days, just because it just kind of went flat. It really didn't move very far at all. And it's also slightly depressing that, I could have quit a long time ago and been happy with my profits for the day, but I kept trading, and now I've lost some of those profits. So there's also that playing into the mindset. Because it's going so flat and just doesn't, I don't know, it's building up steam when it does this kind of thing, and it could shoot out either direction, and it could go very badly very quick. And I'm aware of that fact, and I'm wondering how to trade reasonably with that in mind, trying to figure out which way it might break out. I went ahead and drew a pennant pattern because I'm kind of seeing that happen here. It's kind of getting squeezed into the corner. Not really sure which way to go. It did break out above it, which really worried me. And so I went ahead and raised my limit order. I figured it would probably drop. I was hoping it would drop back down to this point. I would just get out at a small sort of loss. And so I did that and got out. Now I'm out. My third trade, I lost a bit of that. I lost basically all I made on that second trade. But I still am in a profit. I am at 137.50 and trying to figure out where to go from here. I did decide to do another long because it does seem to be holding that support right there. And I put in some pretty tight stops and a reasonable, very small profit limit order. And I believe I just got out at like one tick above where I got in. Let me go back and see that. Yeah, I just gave up on this order, and I put it in right there and got out right there. So I basically covered my commissions on that one. Didn't lose or didn't gain. And I was grateful that I did, because it did drop down quite a bit further. But that movement kind of psyched me into this, getting into a short, because I thought, oh, good, it's going to drop. And I'm still in the back of my mind, I'm still thinking, oh, it's going to drop. And so I got in a short right at the bottom, which is the stupidest thing to do. It's one of those knee-jerk reactions that you do sometimes, thinking, I don't know, it's just not well thought through. So here I'm in a short, and it looks like it's going to go up. And it did. And here I've got my limit order again, right where I thought it was going to go before. And went up, and then went way up, and I came back down. And I thought at this point it may be bouncing off of these SMAs right here, and thought, well, maybe I should reverse. It hung on right here for a good long while, and I was able to think it through. And I thought, well, I could reverse. I basically lost all my profits at this point. but if I could get them back pretty quickly if it was going to go up. But the MACD is really what's giving me pause here. And so I didn't. It went up, and then it came back right to that point again. And then at this point, yeah, I decided, all right, I'll just reverse at this point. So here I did. I got into a long, and I'm trying to get back some of that profit. It went up just a little tiny bit and seemed to be sitting there, so I went ahead and gave out at a very small profit here. And I'm thinking at this point I've gotten about $70 in profit, which at least is positive. Should I quit here or should I keep going? Because it's like a couple good trades and I would be fine. I'm just struggling with it and it's not moving very far. However, sometimes these kind of movements are really good trading times because you've got a pretty clear ceiling and a floor. And so if you can, catch it near the top and write it down near the bottom, that movement right there would have been enough for me. So it doesn't take much. So it dropped down quite a bit here. And I just decided, okay, one more trade. And I was waiting for it to look like it might turn. This is maybe just a little bit premature, but we've had such a solid floor here before. It doesn't seem to want to drop down too far. I thought it'd probably be okay. So I got into a long here. And wouldn't you know, next few seconds, it happened so quickly, within about 10 seconds, it dropped like this. And guess where it went right to? It went right to the same point that I had been thinking all morning that it was going to. So, a little bit more patience would have paid off there, but sometimes patience is not a good thing either when you're just not sure where it's going. But I thought it was interesting that I did predict exactly where it's going to go to. So at this point, it looks like it's going to bounce. I'm still in this long. I'm at break even. And I'm kind of waiting for it to come up and bounce because I know that there's a fair amount of bullish momentum there. And at least it would get it to that point, maybe, I don't know, and that would be fine with me. So I put in my exit order here, right about the blue SMA, which is very conservative, and gave up and decided it was going to drop at this point. The bulls were winning a little bit. The MACD is looking like it's going to turn. I did a switcheroo market order here, which I don't usually like to do because it just floats around until it gets filled. But I did okay with that, and it got filled, and I'm hoping that it drops at this point because I'm in short. And it looked like it was going to. So I thought, well, it's probably going to drop down to this blue SMA again, which is now a little bit higher than it was before, but that's a huge movement. Very excited about that. I went ahead and moved the order up just a little bit when it hesitated because I'm now at $300 profit minus my 8 commissions, and I decided that was enough. I quit. But I'm very happy with the profit that I made for the day, so that was my trading day.